It is essential to resist the depiction of history as the work of heroic individuals in order for people today to recognize their potential agency as a part of an ever-expanding community of struggle.
Angela Davis was born on January 26, 1944. She lived in a very segregated Birmingham, Alabama, in an area called Dynamite Hill due to the bombings of African-American homes by the Ku Klux Klan. Her father owned a service station, and her mother was an elementary school teacher and an active member of the NAACP. As a teenager, Davis would set up interracial study groups that would often result in being broken up by the police.
It's true that it's within the realm of cultural politics that young people tend to work through political issues, which I think is good, although it's not going to solve the problems.
Angela Davis attended Elizabeth Irwin High School after moving to New York City so her mother could pursue a degree. The high school is politically charged and considered to be leftist. Some of the teachers have been blacklisted in the McCarthy era due to suspected communist activities. In 1961, Davis enrolled at Brandeis University in Waltham, Massachusetts. Then, in 1963, so moved by the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church that resulted in the deaths of 4 young girls, she joined the Civil Rights Movement. She first joined the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, and then the Black Panther Party. She spent a large amount of her time working with the Che Lumumba Club, an all-black branch of the Communist Party. Upon the realization that there wasn't equality between the sexes in the organizations that fought for race equality, she started vouching for women's rights as well.
To understand how any society functions, you must understand the relationship between the men and the women.
She then completed her education, gaining an MA at the University of California, San Diego. Then, becoming more radical, she joined the American Communist Party that same year.
Radical simply means grasping things at the root.
In 1969, she was hired at UCLA, though she had a lot of struggle with the administration due to her involvement with the Communist Party. Unfortunately, her involvement in the Communist Party led to her dismissal from the university, though Davis fought back in court and was able to get her job back, only to leave when her contract ended in 1970. Among all of the other movements Davis was a part of, in 1970 she became active in the movement that would lead to better conditions for inmates in prison. She pushed strongly for the release of the Soledad brothers, 3 African-American men who were members of the Black Panther Party. John W. Cluche, Fleta Drumgo, and George Lester Jackson were accused of killing a prison guard after other African-American inmates had been killed in fights. The political work within the prison made some people believe that the 3 men were being used as scapegoats. In August of 1970, at Jackson's trial, there was a failed attempt to free prisoners at the Marin County Courthouse that resulted in the death of 3 men. Even though Davis did not take part, it was discovered that the guns used were registered under her name, and she was allegedly in love with Jackson, making her an immediate suspect. In fear, Davis fled and landed herself on the FBI's most wanted list. She was caught several months later, and after spending 18 months in prison, was acquitted from all charges.
We know the road to freedom has always been stalked by death.
During the trial for Angela Davis, the Free Angela movement began leading to a huge uprising that lasted until her release. Riots were breaking out internationally, and funds were being raised to spread awareness and for the legal costs. The Rolling Stones even wrote a song called Sweet Black Angel that stated, "Yeah, the gal in chains, but she keep on pushing. Would you take her place?" Angela was kept separated from the other prisoners in an attempt to contain her radical thoughts and ideals. With the momentum from this movement, she formed the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. The acquittal of all charges was particularly victorious because the jury was all white and the odds were against her. Even though she was not guilty, the incident led to a lot of people who had a strong dislike for Davis. Ronald Reagan set up a campaign to make sure Davis would not be able to teach anymore, but despite his pushes, she became a lecturer in Women's and Ethnic Studies at San Francisco State University.
I wasn't seeking fame, I wasn't seeking notoriety, I just wanted to be a teacher and an activist.
Her very first lecture was in a standing-only lecture hall where 2,000 students attended. Despite some requests, the lecture was not broadcasted, but it still received a lot of attention. In her years at the university, she published 5 books to widen the range of people she could reach and inform. Davis ran for vice president twice, in 1980 and 1984, under the Communist Party, but was unsuccessful.
What this country needs is more unemployed politicians.
To this day, Davis is still a lecturer at the University of Santa Cruz and is a strong activist for women's rights, the rights of African Americans, and the rights of all people. Not only was Angela Davis an ambitious and motivated activist then, but she remains active and influential today. Her impacts and beliefs shaped the world into a more integrated society. Her ability to make change and her bravery in doing so inspired others to take a stand for what they believe in. Davis's then radical ideas opened the eyes of many and are now more universally believed and put into action. Angela Davis was more than just a scholar and impeccable speaker. She was a symbol of hope and revolution for all.
You say you want a revolution, well, you know